The film begins with Sam, who is living a happy life with his pregnant wife, while his company is steadily growing and everything in his life seems to be falling into place. However, one day he suddenly gets into an accident and is rushed to the hospital. After some time, Sam wakes up from a coma and finds himself in a hospital room next to an elderly man. The entire hospital is filled with an eerie, unsettling silence. Feeling weak, he presses the emergency button, but no nurse comes to assist him. He then starts removing all the tubes connected to his body in preparation to get up. To his surprise, he notices that the person in the bed next to him has disappeared. Sam gets up to see what is happening, but suddenly the elderly man attacks him, trying to strangle and restrain him on the bed. Sam manages to fight back, grabs a tray, and hits the old man on the head before running toward the door calling for help. However, the elderly man attacks him again, and a fight breaks out in the hallway. Sam grabs a metal rod and strikes the old man, causing both of them to fall to the ground. Sam crawls away, but the old man manages to grab him again. He continues struggling until he reaches an object on the floor, then turns around and repeatedly hits the old man until he lies dead beside him. Terrified, Sam stands up and screams for help, but no one responds. Suddenly, in a strange twist, the old man's body completely vanishes, leaving only blood stains behind. Sam cautiously approaches, holding a scalpel, then returns to his room only to discover that the old man is back in his bed, with the tubes reattached as if he were still alive. Confused and shocked, Sam takes his phone from the cabinet, but there is no network signal. He changes his clothes and prepares to escape this strange place. As he heads out, he is suddenly blocked by a large nurse who tells him he must return to his bed and rest. Sam tries to explain that he was attacked by the elderly man and points at him, but he is shocked to find the bed completely empty. When he looks back, the nurse has also disappeared without a trace. Now deeply unsettled and unable to understand what is happening, he heads toward the elevator. Before he reaches it, he hears the elderly man's roar coming from behind him. When he turns around, he sees the old man running toward him in a strange, unnatural way, with sparks appearing around him. Panicking, Sam frantically presses the elevator button as the old man rapidly closes in. At the last second, the elevator doors open, and Sam jumps inside, the doors closing just in time to keep the old man out. He sighs in relief, thinking he has escaped, but suddenly the elevator is struck from above. The ceiling collapses, and the old man's head breaks through the top. Sam is terrified. He quickly escapes the elevator, falling to the ground before getting up and running away in panic. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the hospital, a woman is lying on an operating table, prepared for surgery. As anesthesia is administered, she slowly loses consciousness, only to realize that the doctors and nurses have no facial features. She then blacks out. When she wakes up, she finds herself alone, tightly restrained. Suddenly, she sees multiple girls around her holding syringes, which sends her into panic. She screams loudly. At that moment, Sam is outside the room and hears her cries. He rushes in to save her, using an enforced stand to fend off the girls. One of them attacks him and stabs him in the stomach, but despite the pain, Sam fights back and knocks her unconscious. As the other two girls approach, the injured woman takes advantage of the chaos, frees herself from the bed, and manages to escape the room. Sam runs after her, using an iron rod, and locks the door from the outside. They both run through the hallway until they reach a safe place and finally take a short rest. The girl, whose name is Monica, feels relieved because she has finally found someone normal like her. She tells him about the last thing she remembers, being prepared for surgery. Neither of them understands what is happening in this place, but they both know they must get out as fast as possible. They run together toward the reception area, where they find a landline phone, but it is not working. Sam gives Monica a jacket and tells her to wear it, and suddenly they hear screams calling for help. Sam gathers his courage and moves toward the sound, where he finds a man named Carter tied to a bed. He had come to the hospital after being mistakenly injured during a police operation. Sam immediately frees him, and they pick up a nearby tool to defend themselves. The three of them then head toward the elevator. Suddenly, armed girls appear in front of them, crawling across the ceiling toward them. Sam does not wait for the elevator and decides to escape with the others via the stairs. They enter the stairway, and Sam stays behind the door to give them time to escape, but one of the girls smashes the glass with her hands. Sam has no choice but to run, but a mysterious hand pulls him back, and a large man drags him inside, warning him never to go down to the lower floor, or he will never be able to return. As soon as he finishes speaking, his facial features suddenly disappear, terrifying Sam. A woman named Layla arrives, knocks the man unconscious, and then checks on Sam, who faints from what he has seen. On their way, they meet a man in a wheelchair who explains that Sam must be taken to the ground floor. It is revealed that Sam was actually selfish and an alcoholic, and the accident happened because he was texting while driving. The man refuses to take him to the ground floor, believing he deserves a second chance. From the events, it becomes clear that Sam's real body is actually in the hospital, where doctors are trying to revive him, and everything he is experiencing is a hallucination. If he reaches the ground floor, he may die permanently. Layla then asks why she agreed to give him a second chance. Sam wakes up, takes painkillers beside him, drinks them, grabs a weapon, and leaves. But before he exits the room, a police officer appears and stops him, unsure whether Sam truly belongs in the hospital. The officer is angry and holding a gun, but Sam explains that he is not the monster and is also trapped in this place. The officer finally calms down and tells Sam to look out of the window. When Sam opens the curtains, he sees complete darkness outside. The officer explains that before coming to the hospital, Sam was in a shop buying cake and coffee when the shop owner noticed a thief and pointed him out to the police officer. Suddenly, the ceiling shakes, the light changes colors, and then explodes. A child runs away screaming for help and then disappears. Layla goes to help Sam, but a nurse attacks her and tries to strangle her. Sam warns the nurse to stay away from her. At that moment, a man arrives and orders the nurse to release Sam. The nurse lets go of him and attacks the man instead. Sam falls to the ground and tries to help, but both the man and the wheelchair vanish. Layla quickly drags Sam into the elevator and warns him that they must go to the rooftop. Before she finishes speaking, the nurse arrives and pulls her away. The elevator door closes on Sam, and a loud crash is heard from above, making him fear that the old man has returned. Sam runs out of the elevator and sits at the reception area. Monica arrives and says they searched everywhere for an exit but found nothing. Sam refuses to give up, walks to the window, and opens the curtains, discovering that the darkness outside has turned into a massive wall. At that moment, they hear the elevator rising. Everyone prepares for what is coming. The doors suddenly open, and the nurse's head rolls out onto the floor. Layla steps out of the elevator, and Sam runs to her and hugs her, introducing her to Monica. However, both Monica and Layla seem to recognize each other, as if they already know one another. The police officer arrives and fires toward the entrance, but the bullets have no effect, and the door remains unchanged. At that moment, Carter runs toward them, and as soon as the officer sees him, he immediately points his gun at him and accuses him of causing trouble inside the store, which is what originally led to his admission to the hospital. Carter becomes furious and claims the officer is being racist, explaining that there were two people wearing similar clothes, yet he attacked him first, even though the other man was the real thief. He also accuses the officer of knowing the truth all along. Sam steps in between them, trying to calm things down and urging them to focus on finding a way out of the hospital first. However, the officer does not trust Carter and ends up shooting him, killing him instantly, which throws everything into chaos. After that, the officer turns to Layla, who works at the hospital, and asks her to guide them to the exit. She tells him it is her first time entering the hospital from this area and that she actually came through the staff elevator from the underground parking garage. The officer then decides to go down to the parking level and presses the elevator button. Meanwhile, Sam notices that the nurse's head has disappeared from the ground. Suddenly, the elevator doors open, and the officer is pulled inside. At the same time, Monica runs away, and Sam immediately chases after her. Layla tries to stop him and convince him not to follow her, but he ignores her and goes after Monica, trying to calm her down. The three of them regroup and head back to the elevator. Sam cautiously enters and makes sure the old man has truly disappeared. Feeling relieved, he presses the button for the basement floor. When they arrive, Layla says the parking garage is nearby, but Monica walks toward a room ahead. Inside, she discovers piles of dead bodies, people who likely failed to escape the hospital and died there. Sam finds a phone in the room and calls the police. This time, the call actually connects, but it cuts off before he can provide the address. Suddenly, all the bodies in the room start moving again, as if reanimating, revealing a link to the store incident and Sam's accident. Before the three of them can understand what is happening, the officer arrives and claims he has killed the monster in the elevator. He then shows that the wound in his stomach has disappeared, making everything even more confusing and surreal. They all move toward the parking garage, with the officer now threatening them with his weapon and leading the way. Suddenly, Carter appears from an emergency exit and attacks the officer. After a struggle, the officer overpowers him and kills Carter. In that moment, Sam is pulled toward the exit. He hesitates and refuses to go where Layla told him, but he suddenly realizes she is transforming into a monstrous creature, revealing she is one of the entities inside the hospital. At the same time, Virgil arrives in his wheelchair. Sam uses the chaos to run toward Monica and convinces her to come with him, but she is dragged toward the exit anyway. This time, Sam refuses to follow and instead decides to go with Virgil toward the elevator. However, the elevator cannot take them to the rooftop, so they are forced to switch to another one. As they pass near the nursery, they hear a baby crying and enter to investigate. There, Sam sees his wife holding their child. She tells him they need to find a place in the network, and then the illusion suddenly fades. Sam pulls the cloth from his head and realizes there is no wound underneath. He asks Virgil about his true identity and what is really happening in the hospital. Virgil confesses that he and Layla were responsible for guiding new arrivals inside the hospital, but their goals were different. One of them wanted to save people, while the other wanted to lead them to their deaths. To survive, they must reach the rooftop. They move again toward another elevator, but a small girl appears in front of them and blocks the exit, as she also wants to escape the hospital. Sam takes her hand and brings her into the elevator, and Virgil joins them. A loud crashing sound echoes again, and the old man appears once more, attacking Sam. Sam pushes him out of the elevator and stabs him with a scalpel. He then orders Virgil to take the girl to the rooftop. As soon as she runs, the old man stabs Sam in the back and throws him to the ground. Sam begins seeing visions of other patients, and a large nurse appears, grabbing his leg and dragging him through the corridor. His wife appears again, telling him to fight and not leave her alone. The nurse drags him into a room where Sam sees his real body lying on a hospital bed while doctors attempt to revive him using electric shocks. In the real world, the lights in the hallucinated world explode, and Sam feels despair. But Virgil saves him by knocking the nurse down. They encourage him to make one final effort. Sam runs toward the stairs and meets the little girl again, who is afraid to continue. He encourages her to go with him. Layla tries to stop him, warning that anyone who enters the garage dies, but Sam tells her he is no longer afraid and understands everything now. He moves upward, sends a girl ahead, and then receives a signal on his phone. He sends a message to his wife, telling her he loves her. He enters through the door, which indicates that the doctors have finally succeeded in reviving him from death. And that is where the story ends. Thank you for watching, and don't forget that your opinion matters to us. Please leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel.